All right, welcome back. Happy Friday, everyone. I am your co-host, Kelby Finati, with the Things You Ought to Know podcast.
And I'm your other co-host, Erica Arnautovich. We're so happy to be here today with Liz.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, Liz. We're so excited to have you on.
Happy to be here.
Great. Well, I'd love to kind of, you sent over a little biography about yourself, so I hope I do it justice. I'm going to read that so everyone can kind of get to know you a little bit more, and then we'll open up the conversation.
Absolutely.
So Liz, before we get started, how do you pronounce your last name? Is it Michels?
Michels, yes.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Didn't want to butcher it, so thanks for clarifying. So Liz Michels is a 35-year-old female, and she is a strong warrior who happens to have autism. She says warrior because every day, no matter how tough things get, she stays strong and she bounces back every time. She works at a local hospital as an EVS tech. What does EVS stand for, Liz?
Environmental services. So I help keep the building clean.
We love that. Okay. So she works as an EVS tech where she keeps the environment clean for patients and makes sure that they are safe for them as well. She also uses her job as a platform to educate others about working with someone like herself with autism, and that they should embrace people who have different abilities. In her spare time, she loves listening to music, especially a band called The Struts. I'm not familiar with them. I'm going to have to listen. Especially a band called The Struts and a singer named Kelsey Carter. The Struts and Kelsey Carter have been in her corner for many years now and have cheered her on and helped her through some challenges in life with her autism journey. She's become friends, and it's not every day a girl gets to be friends with their heroes. How cool
Yes.
is that?
Yes.
That's awesome. She also uses her time to talk with others on the spectrum or talk to families who may have a loved one with autism. She really likes to give people time to just talk and really get their feelings out, because autism can be a huge roller coaster. We know that to be very true.
Yes.
Some of her favorite things include the ocean, the sunshine, and her golden bow. Is that Emma?
My golden retriever, Bo.
Oh, her golden. Okay, Bo is his name. Okay. Who really comfort her and remind her that there is still positive things around her. She has a loving family with a mom and dad and 3 siblings, including 2 brothers and a sister. She's also a very proud aunt to 8 nieces. Wow. And a nephew. Wow. The nephew is on his own in that, huh?
Oh, goodness.
And she leaves her bio with us to say if she could leave one thing to say to those on the spectrum or families who have someone on the spectrum, it would be this. It's, I hear you, I see you, and I care about you. Wow, Liz, it's going to make me cry. You are not invisible, and I know it's tough, and some days it's okay to not be okay. She will always be a voice for the community and help others. Wow, Liz, love that. Thank you so much for sending that over to us, and that really gives us a kind of like an overall view of how awesome you are. We're excited to kind of get to know you even more.
Absolutely. I'm excited to get to know you guys too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Like, I think we both teared up at the same time.
Might have to touch up my makeup. Okay. Well, so you grew up, you're by the beach now. So tell us a little bit about your childhood, where you grew up, and how you got to be in Delaware.
So I was born in Rockville, Maryland, and my mom decided, it was time to go. The area was getting a little rough, like still, appreciate where I was born, but the area was getting a little rough. So we came to a small town called Middletown, Maryland, and they in a small town, it was a good childhood. It was, for me, I was a little bit outside the box, I'd like to call, because it was very sports oriented. And the Liz was not, like, I played sports, but the Liz was not the sports oriented girl. So she was more into theater, music, and So I was a little bit, I would say, the black sheep of Middletown, Maryland, because I wasn't the sports kid. But it was a good upbringing, and it was very one of my favorite moments, I would say, in Middletown is graduating high school and college, because back when I was first diagnosed with autism, one of the things was they told my parents was I was not going to graduate high school or go. I was going to be a homebody, and they would just have to do everything for me. Well, my dad, being the football coach, he was a football coach, being like, nah, we're not doing that. Like, you're going to do as much as you can. And so I ended up graduating high school, went to I will say at first it stung a little bit that I didn't get to go away to college. Like, you know, I looked back then, I looked at like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, go away. But it's so funny because everybody came back because they were like, we have no money. Like, so it was, everyone ended up coming back to I went to Frederick Community College. Big shout out to them, because that's when my advocacy really started in college. I was invited to be on panels for people with disabilities and being their voices, and really answering questions and saying, you can do this, you can graduate high school, you can do anything you put your mind to. um, but I also kind of forgive the doctor who told my parents that, because I know back in like 1990, 1991, they used the name, they heard of the name autism, but there was not a lot of research back then. It was just kind of like, okay, just take your child home and you just take care of them the rest of your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
How old
Wow.
were you, Liz, when you
I
were
was
diagnosed?
I was 3 years old. So what happened was I was hitting milestones, and this is where, like, it really did hurt my mom as a mother. I just stopped, and it went backwards. And she kind of went to my dad and went, there's something really there. Like, she was talking, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it went quiet. It almost like you two can relate. It almost went black.
Yeah,
And
we call it the lights went off. That's what my
yes,
husband and I
yes,
say. Our same thing happened to my son. Erica's
yes,
story is a little different, but we have that same experience with my son.
yes,
He has
yes,
regressive autism, and it was he was right on track for his milestones, and then we say the light switch went off, and
yes, yes,
he no longer had those skills. So
yes,
I can definitely relate to your mom with that. So as far as the lineup within your siblings, are you the oldest, the youngest, the middle child?
so so it's my sister Jess, then it's me, then it's my brother Sam, and then or my brother Rob, and then it's my brother Sam. Sorry, had a moment there. So
Now,
it's
out
me.
of the four of you, are any of them else diagnosed with autism, or are they neurotypical?
No, they have no no. I mean, my brothers were big football players, big athletes where I used to live.
I'm
So
sure having a dad as a coach helped that.
oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. They had no problem fitting in. Me, on the other hand, I had to work very hard, and even then, working very hard still kind of, and I mean that's another reason why I advocate, because I do think my siblings do get understand a little bit of autism, but I don't think they understand the entire picture of it,
Yeah.
because you know so I think as we've gotten older, they are starting to realize, like, oh, that must not be easy, because as athletes, I told them, I'm like, you got handed everything, popularity, homecoming king. And I mean, they weren't like braggy or anything like that. Just they kind of were in their little squads, the popularity squad, but I think as adults now, they're starting to broaden and realizing like, oh, like there are some real challenges out there. So as we've gotten older, they have really started to listen to what I have had to endure,
Yeah.
which included bullying. I mean, kids can be relentless in school sometimes and nasty, like, and they don't care.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So you said when you were 3 when you were diagnosed. I'm
Yes,
curious, you were talking and you stopped completely?
yes, stopped completely.
When did you start talking again? How old were you?
I was about 4. My mom said about 4, close to, yeah, 4 years old. Four
Okay.
years old, I started through a lot of speech therapy, a lot of
Yeah.
speech therapy,
Do
a
you
lot.
do you remember any of your therapies being something you enjoyed, something you felt like it was a
um,
chore? What did you feel like about your therapy?
so when I was younger, um, when I was younger, I remember, and I'm sure your boys have both. When I first started going to preschool, I ran out of the classroom like it was on fire. Like I did not want to leave mom and dad. I did not want to. So in preschool, my mom said I wouldn't talk or like I wouldn't say anything. And then when I would look over and the little kids were deaf and had sign language, I had to try to I tried to sign language like them. So I was doing this, but I remember in preschool, I really wasn't, from what my mom and my dad have told me, I really wasn't talking. Then I got to kindergarten, and I remember my teacher, again, shout out to Mrs. Zink. She was really, she was, she was, she was strict, but it was because she wanted what was best. And so through all that, I started having a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, like everything that was offered. I feel like was very lucky that I went to school in the golden years. I'm going to say that because I had a lot of help. Like I had the school psychologist, and at first when I was a kid, I was like, who are you? I'm not going with you. Like, like stranger danger. But looking back, I'm like, man, I really had a lot of help. And to this day, one of the things that I really struggled with was tying my shoes and cutting with scissors. And to this day, I still tie the way that my occupational therapist has taught me to tie them.
Wow.
So, yeah, yeah. So, and I just feel like when I hear children now in certain school areas don't have the support, or they need to qualify for an IEP, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, oh, let me just apply, and you shouldn't have to apply for some help. Like,
Right.
it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So, and when I went to school, though, again, like I said, I had a speech therapist. She really helped me learn, the speech help. And then I had the school psychologist who like made sure, I was keeping, who kind of like kept track of my autism diagnosis. And, by the end, like he said, she's going to have some challenges, but she's going to be fine. Like, I mean, who doesn't have a challenge? Autism, no, I mean, if you're perfect, then, we'd love to know the secret.
You're a robot.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. You must be God, Jesus, something
I
like
know.
from another universe.
Yes.
Um,
Us mortals
but
are not.
and then I really started working with my guidance counselor when I went to high school. Her name is Miss Egan. Again, shout out to her. She kind of helped me with the other side of autism that unfortunately, like, that I've read, like, because I do a lot of research with advocacy, and unfortunately, I feel like autism does come with other things like depression, anxiety, under eating, overeating, like more problems. Like you would think like autism is enough, but she kind of helped me through that, just saying like, nobody, she's taught me nobody's perfect. No, but it did, working with her and then working with, other like therapists and psychologists, like it did really open my eyes, like, wow, autism life is a roller coaster, and it's like the ocean. It can go up, it can go down, it can be calm, it can be chaotic. Like it really started over, and that's when I hit college, like I really was like, people need to learn and understand this and not make fun. Because I used to talk to high schoolers and I would be like, why do you have to make fun of them? Why? And they'd be like, I don't know. Or they'd say, my friend is doing it. Why do I have, so I need to do it? No, you don't. Like,
Right. Right.
so
That's
it's yes. So it's to educate. See, people who I went to high school with, like they don't realize how, the nasty to people don't realize with the bullying, like for me, I'm okay, but for others, it can be really difficult and really hard. And that is why today we are facing so many issues, whether it's autism, depression, anxiety, like if you bully, you're making it 10 times worse on the person and their family. So you're not, that was a big thing I talk about too, is you're not just affecting the person you're picking on, you're affecting their entire support system, and they have to come home and they have to pick up the pieces that you broke. And it's sometimes you want to just say enough is enough. Like, and people need to be held responsible and have consequences. It's not that we don't want to get them in trouble, but when you're hurting somebody or picking on them for having something that they're born with, like, no, it's not okay.
Absolutely.
you need to go advocate in all the schools.
Yes. Oh, yes,
For
I
real.
will. Yes.
That's such a good message. And I already see why you say that you're a warrior. I definitely already, see that 100%. You're very, so
Yes. Thank you.
yeah, yeah. And I want to
On
know,
the
do you
topic,
like the ocean because
Look.
you equate to the ocean?
Yes, I love to listen to it. I love to sometimes like my mom will go, "Watch your glasses." And I'm like, "I'm fine." Like, but like when like I'm not lying to you. Every birthday now that I've lived down here, I always go to the ocean. I'm 35 now, and when I turned 35, it was pouring down rain, and I said, "We're still going." Like, I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
And luckily it stopped. So I was like, good, because we're still going. But I love the sound. I even play a white noise. And sometimes I hear like my mom or dad go, "What's that noise?" Like, and I'm like, "I'm listening to the ocean."
I love that. I love that.
Yes.
So yeah,
sounds like my son. That's his
Yes.
happy place. So much sensory input that he gets from it
Yes.
with the water, the sand, the
Yes.
sound, all of it. He
Yes.
loves ocean.
Yes. Good choice.
I wanted to build on the topic of bullying, if you don't mind,
Not at
kind
all.
of diving into that just a little bit more. I'm curious, as you experience bullying, were you an advocate then for yourself? Did you communicate that you have a disability, that you
So
are autistic?
So I would advocate, and at the time I didn't realize it was called autism. Like again, even
Okay.
back in the early 2000s, it was starting to peak out a little bit, but it was still kind of behind the wall. Like, I'm peaking. So it was just called a learning disability. So I would tell people, like, I have a learning disability. Some unfortunately would just go, "Oh, so you're one of them?" Like, and it was very nasty. Like, and it was ridiculous. And there were times where I would go to find support, but so I think at the time that's when teachers were beginning to burn out a little bit and we're like, I got enough on my plate. like just ignore them. And sometimes I felt like I was the one getting punished.
Mm-hmm.
And when reality, I'm like, I am telling you, this person is, getting on me, and it's not okay. And I hate coming to school because of this. And it got to the point where my one friend went into a classroom. She unfortunately passed away my senior year of high school, but still very thankful for her. Her name was Riley. She literally went into the classroom, got into people's faces, and was like, "Stop bullying Liz. I am going to let you have it if you don't stop." Because she knew I would talk to her, and she knew, like, nobody's really doing anything. Because again, not blaming the teachers, but they were so overworked and burned out, and they had this and they had that, and it kind of sucked.
Mm.
But again, no blame towards them. Understand why their job is hard, and like looking back, like understanding, like they're not paid a whole lot, and so some of them were probably just like going, I'm just going to do what I need to do and get out. Where there were others, like my guidance counselor, Mrs. Egan, who I still talk to this day and ask for advice. She went above and beyond with her job. So, she was the one who helped me survive high school pretty much. So like I said, to this day, still talk to her, very special to me. So definitely applause for her.
That's amazing.
I love that. I commend you, Liz, for having the emotional maturity to be able to provide so much grace
Yes,
to the teachers, even, 10 plus years later, being able to look back on that and have that perspective about even just down to their pay
yes,
and lack of resources. And I think that
yes,
from a mother's perspective, it's hard sometimes to
yes,
have that grace when you want to be mama bear for your
yes,
child. And I'm sure your
yes,
mother and father experienced that as well.
yeah, yes,
But
absolutely.
I think that probably you spoke a little bit about, if you don't mind, we can touch on your faith,
No, no.
because I heard you talk about that a little bit, and just providing grace and having that emotional maturity to do that. It kind of, from my perspective, it seems like that you can speak to being your faith. Can you kind of speak to us about your belief system and how that has impacted your diagnosis as a child or as an adult? Has it
So,
helped you cope with it?
are you saying like faith, like religious?
Yeah, yeah.
So yes, I do believe in God. I do I know everyone has their different belief system, and that's one thing I feel like is for me as somebody with autism. I don't judge anybody. Everyone's got their thing. So for me, I do believe in God, and I do pray. And when it's something is really, really difficult, like the other day I was having a really, really tough time, and I was just like, God, please just help me through this. Like, the people around me, this was I said, the people around me, they understand a little bit, but again, they're not seeing the whole picture. I'm just like, just get me through this one second at a time, and I think he really did listen to me, because, sure enough, everything started to get better and calm down. Um, so I know he's up there, and I know without him, I definitely would not be who I am today. Um, I think at times, I also call my grandmother, my mom's mom, my guardian angel. I feel like she had a big understanding with me, and she will come and visit me, like, especially whether it's tough, or um, whether it's tough or I'm having a good moment. She'll just like, I was telling my mom, like, it's just this kind of vision. Like, she's just like across the street, and she's just waving like this, and I'm waving back to her. And, and then I wake up instantly, like, it's just her. I'm just checking on you. Like, and, this is funny. Another sign of hers was, especially when I'm upset or I'm worried, um, there was a time where I didn't have a job. I had just left a job that became a little too toxic for me. And my niece had gotten very sick, and she was in the hospital. She's doing great now, but she had a health condition. Her lung had collapsed, so everything was coming full force at me. She was up at the children's hospital. I had no job. Like, it hit. So I'm like sitting there, crying again. Like, it's very healthy to cry. I tell everybody that if you need to cry, you cry. So I was crying, and all of a sudden I see like this flicker of light in the like right at the edge of my glasses, and I was like, "What was that?" And like it happened just one more time, and I went, "Again, what was that?" And I had no lights on, nothing. So I was just like looking around, and I put the pieces together, and it was my grandmother just going, "It's gonna be it's all right. It's gonna be all right. I know you're upset, but just hang on just a little bit." And sure enough, as my niece was, the hospital that she was at was helping her get better. They just said this was just a real freaky thing. I mean, we all know flu and cold season. Oh, like with children, it's nasty. And at the time she had just turned, I believe, yeah, 3 years old, like still, so a little body, collapsed lung, like that was really scary. But again, I held on, just like my grandmother's message, like just hold on just a little longer. She finally had gotten out of the hospital. And then that's when my hospital called and just said, "We want you." So it's just, he he's there, and he's just kind of going like, "I know this is really difficult. I know this is really difficult. I'm promising it's gonna end." And sure enough, the bad things always end. It always ends, or we come to peace with it. Kind of like with the bullying, like, I still, unfortunately, at 35, still deal with judgmental people, very rude people, and nasty people. And, I just kind of, it does kind of get to me, but at the same time, I'm like, hold on, faith, praying, hold on, hold on. Like, you be the bit bigger, better person, because for me, like, at this point, like with being 35, like I told my mom, I was like, "I'm ready to cuss some people out. Like, this is, you're ridiculous. You're ridiculous." Like, and that's not just for autism. That's for like anybody. Like, because
Mm-hmm.
I've seen it with people who have a difference in their life, and I'm just like, that's ridiculous that you have to point that out. Just everyone is a human being. Like, just stop. You're ugly. You're being ugly. And um but yeah, God has definitely gotten me through this journey, and he continues to get me through this journey. Like, and I always get a sign like, "It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." Because I think with having autism, I've talked to other people, we want it done instantly. Like, we want it just to be over. Like, whether we're sick, whether we're having an anxiety attack, a panic attack, that kind of thing, we just want it to be over. And like, because I remember also, um, before leaving the toxic job, I was really sick. I had ended up, because of medications that I was on. Like, one medication was making me gain weight. Another medication, it kind of destroyed my body a little bit. And so, again, God got me through it, because he was like, it's going to get figured out. Like, it's just, but again, I've talked to people on the spectrum, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we want it done instant. Like, we want the pain, the sadness, all of it to be gone instantly, so we don't have it in the back of our minds." But I have gotten better to cope with that stuff, like, the bad. So, and again, that's why I'm a voice for the autism community, because I get it. Like, when we feel hurt, it really hurts.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Like everything you're saying, like, for the kids, so our boys at this point, both of them, Porter, Kelby's son is 5, and then Luca, my son, just turned 4. And both of our boys, both at this point, are non-vocal. Both are, no, Porter's very good at using his AAC, and Luca is just starting to learn to use his AAC. But yeah, I think as moms, we always kind of we want first and foremost our boys to be happy.
Yes.
and like feel loved. And like when they can't tell us sometimes I think sometimes we find it, I think sometimes like that's hard, like for us to like know, are we doing enough?
Yes.
Do they want something different? Are they sick? What's going on? So
Right.
kind of hear like, your range and understanding of others and like your heart for others and your grace for others, even though others have not always shown you that same kindness
Right.
back. You still have such love and grace for others. And that, kind of rings true for a lot of kids that, at least I have dealt with and come across that, I've diagnosed with or have already been diagnosed with autism. They really do just have like this special warm like love for other
Yes.
people. And so have
Yes.
you also found that to be a common trait amongst people with
Yes.
autism?
Almost like too nice, being too nice.
Yes.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
forgiving so fast sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to point that out because
Yes.
as a mom, but also as a medical provider, I see so many families, but I'm hearing in your voice and like in everything that you're saying, no matter what avenue you're talking about. So far, you've always had such a loving, warm heart
Yes.
towards other humans, even though you
Yes.
have not received that from a lot of humans.
Right.
So that, that's just so inspiring to me.
Yeah.
It makes me
That was the word I was going to say.
Luca's mom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that I believe he has that heart as well.
Yes.
Yes.
No, I understand completely. I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's just really, really amazing to me.
It's definitely, because it's had me question, like, where do I fit in this world? Because like, not in a bad way, but just kind of like, it's just a question, like, where do I fit in this world? Because when I meet people, a lot of them do have kind of like, oh, hi, how are you? Okay, I don't want to talk, like, they kind of like, I just want to get up, go do my day, go home, and that kind of thing. So, and I am around a lot of people like that, but then here's me, hi, how are you? Come talk to me. I don't mind you talking to me, like that kind of thing. And when I see like other people, a lot of people aren't like that. I'm like, am I missing that's when I go, big man upstairs, like, am I missing a cue or something? Am I supposed to not be talking? Am I supposed to not be like going like, hey, do you need something? Do you need help? Like that kind of thing. Like, it's that is one like fall. I think a lot of people who have kids and adults with autism, like they question like, where am I fitting into this crazy society?
Yeah. No, I think, if I can say just like on that, I say, especially in a hospital setting, I used to work in one. I think Kelby, you've worked in medical settings in the past. I would say, those patients, especially, you go talk.
Yes.
I would
Absolutely.
say
Yeah.
you're not missing any cue.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like
And
that's my
no, yeah, and I second that. I say, working, I floated in the hospital within different shifts and locations. And, those people, family members, patients themselves, even healthcare workers, within that setting, it can be very negative, it can be very sad, solemn. And so, to be able to have a ray of sunshine, aka Liz Michels, in your back pocket as an employee, I'm sure it really helps because I can understand. I'm a bubbly person. I like to talk to people, and unfortunately, I don't think it's just I would say like what you're thinking is like maybe a trait of your autism where you don't pick up on the cue. I think it's just the way the world is these days. Like everybody's got their head in their phone. No one has the mental capacity or the want to kind of have a organic conversation with a stranger.
Right.
And so, whereas I kind of crave that, and it sounds like you do too, Liz, where you like, you crave that conversation piece of it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's just how it is. But pushing through that barrier, I'm sure you've probably got stories, endless stories you could share with us of like when you get someone to open up and talk to you and create that, go over the little awkward barrier there.
Right.
You really get a breakthrough and you get to really
Yeah.
learn about that person.
Well, one thing that I have a lot of respect for is the shout out to my nurses that I work with, that I'm around, every single one of them. They have been, they've had different kinds of challenges, especially when, like, again, COVID, you know, somebody had a sign that said 2020, the year of the nurse. And I was like, right. Yeah. Year of the nurse was right. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
they literally go face to face with, like, you know, again, here's them, here's COVID, and they're literally um you know, neck and like uh, face deep into it. I mean, you know, I know some people were like, I'm not doing that. Bye, I quit. But, you know, again, the nurses I work with, they, as hard as it was, they stuck with it. And they were like, okay, like, we got to get, if we don't do our job, like, we've got to, this isn't going to get solved. And sure enough, you know, it's still going up and down, you know, but, you know, with them, like, even though, you know, things may get hard, they don't give up either. And they have a lot on their plate. So, you know, shout out to them and the respiratory therapists and the CT people and everybody, like, not, and then we do have a cancer side, and that's where I also talk to patients too. I get to be on that side also. Again, those nurses, year of the nurse, you know, they were like, okay, well, we still got people to take care of. So they kind of had to put their armor on and just like pretty much go to war with this invisible illness that nobody knew about at the time.
Yeah.
But now they're getting better with it. So, you know, um, they've had their own and you know, they've had their own set of challenges, but overall, as a support system, like the nurses, a lot of them have been at, even ones that don't understand autism, they have started asking questions and have started, you know, going up because my hospital did a piece on me for Autism Awareness Month back in April. And my hospital is very good at that. They have Elizabeth Campbell. She is in charge of the DEIB, which is to recognize, you know, different holidays, different people. Like, she does a really good job. And I just met with her recently, and she even said, like, what can we do to help people with autism or any disability come work at BB and be comfortable? And that's what I'm working with them on. And she is like, you know, there's me, the advocate, and then there's her up there that is like, I'm going to make sure like things are running smoothly and people are educated. So me and her have been kind of working together, and we're actually working on bringing me onto our local news channel called Coast Life to talk about, you know, working with people with disabilities at my hospital. So they bring in a guest from my hospital, and they're going to interview me and, you know, say that it's a big advocate piece, like just like this podcast is. It's just another way to get advocacy out. I did not realize though that Coast Life went from Delaware, Maryland to Virginia. So I was like, oh, I'm going to be seeing even better, not just one state, across the Eastern Shore.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So
What a
even though I
system.
have, yeah, uh, um, so the nurses though at my job, even though like some of them know about autism, others are like, okay, let me, do you, like you guys said, do you mind if I pick your brain? Like, you know, I don't care. This is what we need to be doing, conversating, having conversations. Like, I feel like that's not happening enough. And if I can bring it into my workplace, then that's what I'm going to do. Like, that's my goal in life, is to bring it into workplace, because we need to start talking about it. And there's a lot we need to talk about, but we need to start talking about, different types of things people live with. And we need to start having tools and understanding ready to go.
Yes. Yes. And the fact that you're bringing that to the medical system is like, I think hits really, really close for both Kelby and I, with medical backgrounds. So you said you're working with the hospital admin to kind of like
Yes.
bring forth, what are some of can you give us like a couple? I mean, I know they probably can't tell us like verbatim what you're going to be rolling out, but can you give us a couple of like maybe 2 or 3 things that you guys are going to implement, or things you've requested they implement to make that job accessible and inclusive?
So one of the things that the health system that I work with, they have different resources. They have, brochures on our net page. They have, when it's Autism Awareness Month, oh, they roll out that red carpet because they're like, this is Autism Awareness Month. This is what autism is. Educate yourself, because you never know who you're going to bump into. Or, with the young nurses coming in wanting to become mothers, they may very well bump into autism, or have children who have autism get diagnosed with it. They're really educating, and they also are, even, I feel like, creating jobs to have, somebody who may be able only to do part-time. I do full-time, but there are people, who may just, there are moms and dads who go, oh, I don't know if they should be working. At my healthcare system, like where I'm working with them, I'm trying to make where I work this place where, and everyone is welcome. You don't need to be afraid anymore. Like, nobody's going to pick on, no one's going to bully, because it's a hospital. Like, there should not be any kind of bullying at a hospital. And if you are bullying, then you need to get out. Like, you need to leave. Like, this is not the place. Like, and even when nurses and the admin are like educating themselves on this, like, they want the entire hospital staff to be educated as well. So they are educating people, like, like, what was it? May was like Mental Health Awareness Month. Like, they just list all the resources. If you have questions, contact this person, contact that person. Like, if you don't understand something, oh, you can contact. There's always a person you can contact.
Wow.
So and also, they, like, with my piece for autism awareness in April, um, they contacted me and they were like, we want to, as you having, autism, would you be interested in sharing your story and sharing it with the entire BB? That's where my healthcare system is called, is BB. They were like, will you share your story with everybody? And I said, and it's pretty big. So, like, I knew everybody was going to see it, but I said, sure, why not? So, I mean, um, educating them, and then educating just everybody in the hospital system. Like, it's been rewarding. It's been and I'm still educating them.
Yeah. Oh, you'll
Oh,
never
I'm
stop.
sure you'll continue forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. That's really cool.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask, as far as like, because I've been on the management side of things for the last few years of my career, and I'm curious, from like a person that did the interviews and I was part of the hire and fire crew when applicable. As far as like, as you as an autistic individual going into the interview process with your hospital system, did they do anything different that like stuck out to you? Or did you individually, as like the potential employee, did you come out forthright and say, like, I have this disability, this is the accommodations I would need? Do you have any kind of recommendations for people who might be listening that are going into the workforce that have this disability that you could kind of, I'm
So,
curious what your perspective was.
so when I filled out the application, and man, that application was huge. It did ask, do you have a disability? It's, and it said optional. Some some people like really do want to know if you do or not. And unfortunately with workplaces, I mean, they say they don't judge, but you moms, there's somebody that looks and goes, I'm not dealing with that, and like throws the application like next. Like, I want somebody quote unquote normal, and they don't have time or the patience. When I applied for this job that I'm at now, December, I'll be celebrating 2 years, by the way. It's been very successful. It's nice to finally have a job. It's my niche. Um, I filled it out and I just said, this is my story. Like, again, I didn't even put at the end, I hope you don't judge me for it. Nope. When I called the interview, my manager, Madison Cave, who, is pretty amazing. And she has been learning about autism herself through me, of course. She's been a big cheerleader of mine. She was just like, nope, not a problem. Like, so just if you can, really just be upfront and honest. Like, don't be afraid to hide yourself. Because if you do have autism or you do have that kind of thing, like, let your boss know, like, hey, I can get this job done. I just might do it in a way that is may not be you've never seen before. Because I mean, at my job, I am able to fulfill the duties and stuff. Sometimes though, I need a little help, and that's when she just says, "Just call me," and then I'll call and take advantage of the help or like anything, that kind of thing. So, really, I'm very big on using your voice, and then if there's a parent who wants to get like their nonverbal adult son or daughter out there, like to a job, whether it's just like going to some even a hospital, like folding gowns or taking stuff off the wall, like sharps containers, that kind of thing. Be the advocate. Let these people know, hey, my kid is not broken. Like they can work, they can get this done. We believe in them, and I want you to believe in them. So being your own hero is very big when it comes to a job interview. And if you feel like you're
Love
judged,
that.
yeah, and if you feel like you're being judged, hey, email the company and say, hey, I feel like you're judging me and you're not giving me a chance. Like, really speak out for yourself and let them know, I'm not here to play around with. Or same with parents, I'm not here to play with you. Like, this isn't just somebody off the street. This is a kid, like my kid, or I am somebody, and that's, I feel like a lot of kids and adults with disabilities, my biggest thing is, I feel like a lot of like the society itself, I feel like society itself says, oh, autism ends at 18, there you go, like, adios, see ya. And I'm like, it shouldn't be adios, see ya. It should be, you need to keep helping them and let them have access to these services.
Yeah.
Because again, like and I'm sure you guys have seen it, autism does not end at the age of 18. It keeps going. So there needs to be more that's why I've become huge in my advocacy, because it's the children are very important, but so there are the adults. The whole community as a whole is is because I mean, there are parents who are not getting younger, and they're like, oh my god, what's going to happen when I leave? Like, when I leave this world, like, are they going to be okay? Like, are they going to be taken care of? Like, and that's why, like, I suggest to parents and people who can vocalize, be your biggest advocate. Like, you can do any job, just and to people hiring, like, have patience. Like, they deserve to leave the house too and work. So yeah, that's my
Yeah, I
biggest
love that.
yes.
I always, when I was doing any kind of like coaching for just someone going into an interview, what I would be looking for as the hiring person, I always would say, like, be your own PR person, your
Right,
own public, representative, as if you were the Hollywood elite. You need to sell yourself. And it's like, to be able to transfer that into the autism community as you are, it's be your own PR person. As you're saying, be your own hero, be your own advocate, speak up for yourself with your disability, be proud of your disability. You didn't
yes,
think twice about checking it off on that application. And then being able to communicate. It sounds like, hopefully, when you do that, you have a safe environment to communicate it in, but be able to communicate any kind of accommodations that you may need in the workspace. Because I know, like you said, I can do it. I may just do it differently. Your brain works
right,
differently. You
right,
might see a task that you could, I think uh, it takes all kinds of minds, right? And I think it takes
right,
all kinds of minds. And I firmly believe my son is a genius in his own way. Same thing
right,
with you, Liz. I'm sure there's things that you can see differently because of your brain within that
right,
system, that you could be like, I could do that better because I
right,
see it differently. I can do
right,
that better.
right.
So I love that your hospital system welcomed you with open arms,
Yes,
and was able to hear your voice and let you be able to advocate for
yes,
yourself. It's amazing.
absolutely,
We need more
absolutely.
of that.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
definitely need more of that.
Yeah. And
yes,
allowed
absolutely.
you to be yourself. And I think also, one thing that I would say is you don't want to work somewhere, I would assume, if you wouldn't feel comfortable expressing who you really
Right,
are. Who wants to
right,
go work 40
right,
hours a week somewhere where it's like,
right.
I'm hiding who I really am?
Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
I was at jobs where I was like, Mom, I gotta quit. Mom, I gotta quit. Mom, I gotta quit, because you did not feel welcomed, or somebody was trying to really tear me down. Like, you're just like, Mom, I gotta go. I would tell her, Mom, I gotta go. I gotta find another job. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. And just finally being at this hospital, like, I finally just, I still deal with, there's always that a couple people who are just like, I don't want to deal with all that kind of thing. But for the most part, 90%, like, there most of there's a good support system there, that is helpful and that are really educating the other workers and people around them about different abilities that people have, which is really, really nice.
Yeah. I think that's really great. And I hope other healthcare systems will start to adopt
Yes.
your healthcare
Yes.
system's attitude. Because
Yes.
I know the big
Yes.
ones down here, at least right now, I think we're just really behind the ball on like
Yeah.
as far as medicine goes, and just in general,
Right.
like the
Yes.
resources for people.
Yes.
So
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I
I think
understand completely.
expanding outside of just the healthcare system, I think if anybody is listening to this podcast, and if you are an employer, if you're in any kind of leadership, even if you're not in leadership within your workspace, being able to kind of hear Liz's story and perspective on what it is to be able to open up and accept you for who you are, and not be scared of the diagnosis, be able to embrace it with you, alongside of you. And it sounds like, Liz, I don't want to speak for you, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like you're the person where it's like, ask me the questions, like I will tell you the answers. Is that
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When that one nurse, she came to me and she was like, "Can I pick your brain?" I was like, "Ask away. Like, tell me something I don't know." Like, and then she started with, "Well, how old were you?" And, well, how does that work? And, how does how do you get diagnosed with autism? Like, what is autism exactly? Because it is a very big spectrum.
yeah.
And, you know, I also tell people too, because I've received a lot of people saying, "Hey, I might be on the spectrum. I'm not really ready to go to a doctor or anything yet." I just tell them, you need to just do it in your own time. It's not a forced thing, but just do it in your own time when you feel ready. because I think the big thing is when these people come to me, they're afraid of being judged, and I tell them, like, doctors can't judge you. That's not their job. Their job is to diagnose you and then go, okay, we need to make a plan, and then and the plan is to get the resources that you need.
Yeah.
And I will say, where I work, we have wonderful resources, so it's amazing.
That's great.
That's awesome.
So
Yeah.
building off of that really quickly, I told you I was going to pick your brain as a medical
Oh
provider.
yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
in my diagnostic appointments, I always want to make sure I'm providing the best care for the kids, for the families. I do this.
Right.
I started the program that I do this with after my son, so I do it with a lot of love. I really try to be very, nerve affirming and loving towards the families and compassionate and all of that.
Right.
Is there anything, obviously not knowing me all too well, except for just talking to me today, but
Right.
is there anything that you could say that, when you go to a doctor's appointment now, or even as a kid that you remember, is there something that stood out to you in the healthcare facility that you were like, that made me feel so much more comfortable that somebody did that?
So the doctor I'm with right now, she is very comforting. It took me a while to find a really good doctor since like moving down here that kind of got me. And I finally, not saying like other doctors were terrible, but I think I finally found my match with the one that I'm currently with at now, because she works for the same hospital system that I work with. So me and her, like, she's kind of been open with what she works with, along with, like, she's been working on, and her and I kind of, like, not so much with autism, but just kind of like, having different body shapes, different health problems. She's been comforting, going, yeah, we have this, but it's going to be okay because we're going to make it better. Like, she's one, and if she can't figure it out, she's going to send you to the people she knows that can help figure it out.
Okay.
And and she knows I have autism, and she's just very patient with me. And if I'm upset, the entire doctor's office is like, don't be upset. It's going to be all right. We're going to get this figured out. And, like, it's just, I finally found my niche, like, there. And having her, she was the one that kind of finally went, oh, this is comfortable, like,
Yeah.
she gets it.
That's great. Yeah. So just kind of like somebody who, like, you feel like understands you, but listens to you and tries to just, give you like the credit for any feelings you may be having. Like, I'm acknowledging your feelings, but it's going to be okay.
Yes.
That
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
really absolutely.
Good advice. Yeah. I think all healthcare professionals need to hear that from time to time.
Yes.
So that's really great.
Well, just Liz, we could talk to you forever, and I think I can speak for both Erica and I.
Yeah.
I would love to have you back on and be able to
absolutely
dive
Would
into the sibling dynamic, because we both have multiple children.
Come back on, absolutely.
Yeah, this is
okay. Great. So it's been a great conversation. So to kind of round out our conversation, usually what we ask every guest is if you can tell us one thing that you think the world ought to know about autism.
Yeah. So one thing the world, I feel like, needs to know about autism is really, I get that people have their personality. Some might be more closed than others, but really just open your heart, give people a chance, and really listen to people's stories, because you'd be surprised. You may very well be meeting your best friend, um or the person that can inspire you to reach for the stars. But you just don't know. So I guess my advice is, like, to other people who meet somebody with autism, just, you've met one person with autism. There's many people that have different varieties of autism. But at the end of the day, we're just humans, and we're just trying to reach our goals, and we're trying to enjoy life, and, you know, be a friend to people, be a friend, be a loving brother, sister, cousin to their families. And we're really trying to find our place in the world. And if people can help like us find our fit in, you're making life so much easier for us. But when people are nasty and rude and don't have the patience, it's making it that much harder. Life is already tough itself with having the diagnosis. And I mean, a lot of people do mask and try to hide their autism, and just that's not a healthy coping mechanism. Um, and if somebody is struggling with autism, just be there, just listen to what they have to say, and don't try to tell them calm down, breathe. I mean, you both know it's easier said than done. Like, to me, I almost think that's kind of an insult a little bit. I mean, that's just my opinion. But for me, especially if people are vocal with autism, um, I definitely just take the time to listen to them, even if they're nonverbal. Take the time, take the time to talk to a parent and go, "Hey, what can I do to help them so they're not getting so upset or so overly stimulated?" Just take the time to listen. Like it's. I think if anything, it'll enhance your life, not make it worse.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
My life has been so enhanced since having my
Yeah.
son, as has everybody at my office. I know that we are all far more, compassionate and competent providers for people
Yes.
with neurodivergencies.
Yes.
So I feel, like my son was a huge blessing to all of my office, not just our family.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your sons are definitely going to go far. Definitely. It may not be in that list way, but they're going to make their spot, and they're going to be successful. I believe in them. Definitely.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think we hear that. That's going to make me cry.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, like, that's so nice to hear.
It really
Yes.
Like, it
is.
Yes.
doesn't have to
Yes.
be the
Again,
way that you project or you think it's going to be.
right.
You know?
Right. Yeah. No. And,
He will find his place. I love
yeah.
that.
Yeah. Oh, they will. They
Wow.
will.
Yeah, I don't think I've heard that for a really long time about my son.
Well,
No.
Like once.
I'm really glad I said something, because I really feel like, you know, um, that people need to hear that. Like, they do. And it's not being said enough. Well, it needs to be said.
Yeah,
I think exactly what you said is they will find their place in this world, and it's
Yes.
their
Yes.
place. It's no one
Yes.
else's. It's
Yes.
their place.
Yes.
Um, and I commend you, Liz. Like, you have obviously very clearly found your place. Um, you are a beacon of light into this autism community, into the world, just to be able to advocate as fiercely as you are. You said it in the beginning, and I could only, like Erica said, she immediately saw that warrior, mentality in you.
Right.
I saw it too, and I'm even more so seeing it now. I can't thank you enough for making me
Absolutely.
cry happy tears. These
yeah.
are happy tears.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Autism,
Thank you.
autism, yeah, autism it can be a real roller coaster ride. And you kind of want to tell people, the ones that are just like, oh, they just need to calm down, they need to breathe. No, and you want to tell them, you just don't get it, do you? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a switch you turn on and off. Like, so I understand your sons completely, and I know they are going to go far in life, and I believe in them. And anyone who tries to go, I don't know about all that. Nope, nope, nope. We're not listening to that. Like, that's negative energy we don't need.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, my family likes to say, "Not today, Satan."
Yes,
Not
yes,
today.
yeah. I mean, you really do have to say that. Not today, Satan,
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I do feel like those little challenges are you again the not today, Satan challenges.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
but yes, even with a diagnosis of autism, I do really believe that the autism community, they each have their own places and spots in this world, and they are going to make a big change, both verbal and nonverbal. And again, especially for nonverbal, because they do deserve a chance.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And I know if I ever work with somebody nonverbal, I will, where I work, I will encourage to hire somebody nonverbal. And, because there are different tools that can help. I mean, they need to be recognized as humans, not just this is Billy with nonverbal autism. No, this is Billy, and yes, he is nonverbal autistic, or has nonverbal autism, but he's got his trusty handy, talking device, and he can talk to you just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Again, working around outside the box.
All right, Liz, you're
Yes.
officially going to be on our speed dial. We're just
Yes.
going to speed
No,
dial you for daily encouragement.
Yes.
seriously, it would be an honor to be speed dialed. So
Well,
honored.
I feel honored genuinely to have gotten to virtually meet you and speak to you, because I don't think I have cried since the very first episode of this podcast when I was just telling my son's story. I'm not a crier typically. Like, you brought me to tears, for real, like happy tears. And
Yes.
the tears I was telling in the story were like, of thinking back to that day of
Yes.
that doom
Yes.
day almost.
Yes.
And so I'm so thankful to have met you, and anybody's
Absolutely.
life that you touch is that their life is that much more enhanced.
Absolutely.
So
Well, I don't mind being on speed dial for you guys. I don't mind at all. Like, because I understand your sons. I get them. I understand them. I see them. I know exactly what they're going through. So yeah, no, I'm definitely there for them.
thank you so much.
And I'm there to
awesome.
be, and I'm
Well,
there to be, and I'm there to be their lifelong friend, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
well, you're officially our lifelong friend.
Oh,
So
I love it.
Yes.
If anybody is listening today and wants to kind of follow along your advocacy journey, how do they connect with you? Are you on social media?
So,
What would be the best way to reach out to
so
you?
I am on Facebook. Is Liz Michels, LizMichels. I also am on Instagram. My Instagram is Lizzie Sunshine Strutter, 89, and it's for the Struts, because again, they played a huge role in my advocacy. Like, just even to me, they're not just really a band. Both them and Kelsey Carter, they have become like lifelong friends, like we are. We've become, and they have learned about autism along the way. So, I've named my Instagram after my favorite band. And also my email is liz5589@icloud.com. So anybody who would like to email, I also, through my job, I am a trauma guide as well. So, and I get that getting a diagnosis can be pretty scary. So I am trained in mental health first aid. So I am trained to hear difficult conversations. So anybody, autism, related, anxiety, depression, anything, like, don't hesitate to reach out.
I love that. What we can do, Liz, is after we get to conclude our conversation, I'd love to, if you could kind of send me your
Absolutely.
handles for each of those things in your Gmail.
Oh, yeah.
I already have that, but if you could just send that over to us, and we'll make sure that we post it on our announcement page when your episode comes out, and that way,
absolutely,
anybody can just add you and be able to have you as a virtual friend forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome.
It's amazing.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for your time today.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your
Anytime.
insight, your encouragement.
It's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
The pleasure is all ours. Honestly, it was.
Yeah.
You You really touched my heart today. So
Oh, I'm so glad.
thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, before I cry again, let's go ahead and we'll sign off. Everybody,
like this.
I know. I know. Well, we hope everyone has a great weekend ahead of you. And if this episode touched you in any way as much as it touched us, we encourage you to comment on Liz's episode. Ask us any questions. We can make sure that we can get you in touch with Liz if you have any questions directly for her. And Liz, you're our forever friend. So
yes.
we'll continue to stay in touch.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you so much.
Absolutely.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.